I truly believe that if we collectively focus on the mindset change, we will definitely be able to achieve gender equality, not waiting for 130 years, but perhaps in the next 50 years itself. What do you say?
Absolutely. A lot of work to be done.
If you make up your mind, I think we can start today itself.
Our mindset is a composition of values, beliefs, and attitudes. Today, let's discuss more about the values. The values across the centuries pertaining to women have been changing. From servitude to service, from inferiority to equivalence, from the shadows to prominence, to being called as an emblem of beauty, to being respected for their ideas, for their thought leadership, and for their competence. Now, religious institutions globally often play a pivotal role in shaping the community's values. Let us discuss this concept with Most Reverend Peter Machado.
Yeah, Priya, I'm very happy that you have taken this topic. And as you have said, it's the mindset that has to change. Perhaps a few activities here, a few programs here might make a little difference, but the mindset has to change.
Absolutely.
And I would say the church is making an effort. First of all, I see the attitude of the Holy Father Pope Francis himself, that he has devised in a way that to say that like Jesus was considerate and concerned about women, when he talks, when he takes his topics, when he deals with certain issues, he has a beautiful mindset himself. Besides that, he encourages also every country to take up what we call the commissions of women, the committees, the different committees that they can perhaps surely work with, so that a little of the mindset, the respect and dignity of women is also kept up. For example, I'm a bishop. There is a commission to select the bishops. Earlier it was consisting of only the cardinals, the bishops. You will be surprised to see that 3 women are put on that committee now. You can imagine that the future bishops will be perhaps also chosen because of a certain influence or perhaps a certain attitude of a woman who says, this bishop, he surely gives respect to women.
So women are involved in the decision-making process.
Decision-making process of even selecting the bishops. Yeah. Besides that, in our archdiocese also, that we are making small efforts. We know that women are active, but then perhaps something what's called an organized way of doing things. And that's how the Catholic Women's Collective, of which you are the president, has come into birth. And we have about 50 parishes that have the women's groups, well respected, well connected to the parishes. Besides, in every parish, in a small way, the parish priest in his homilies, the parish priest in his gathering, altar servers, the altar girls, the youth, and there are so many other small things by which we also try to get ourselves involved in this women's empowerment and changing of the mindset of what's called the gender, to say that not that men are superior, women are inferior. We have to do away with this mindset altogether.
Absolutely. Well said. I think the church is doing a lot of activities and initiatives to ensure that we have a paradigm shift in the mindset. And the values that are been given to the younger generation is what's going to sustain us in the future. Yeah. I also think that there's a lot of work that's been done in the corporate world when it comes to mindset shift. For example, there is one program, and Anup will agree with me on that. It's called as the Unconscious Bias Sensitization Sessions, which is being done at the senior leadership level and cascaded to every level in the organization. So perhaps we should bring some of those best practices into the community as well. What do you say, Anup?
Absolutely. There's a lot of work that's being done within corporates to take off the unconscious bias. Absolutely. And there's a lot of scope to bring that into communities. And to me, I think the mindset starts at home. And within the society we live in. Of course, corporates is the extension of the society, but I think there's a lot to be done. Exactly what His Grace said. It's not about men being superior to women. I think the fact that if we start accepting that, even at the level of our homes, the way we treat women at home would be a spouse, a mother and daughter, I think that itself will have an impact on society, the way men think.
Equality in the home place always brings in equality in the workplace in future.
You know something, Priya, a few years ago, my daughter was around 14, 15 years old, and she came to me and said, this world is not equal. There's so much discrimination there. As much as I knew it, that statement coming from a 14-year-old was very hard-hitting and made me realize what she's saying is so true.
It's experienced at different age levels differently. Anup, I think in the corporate world, gender equality is no longer just a goal or a target that needs to be achieved. It's not a tick in the box. It's very much embedded in the foundational principles of the company, the ethics of the organization, and the culture of the company. Yeah. So on that note, could you share with us, I think there's a lot of progress been made in the last decade or so, and I see many companies doing phenomenal work in this space. Could you talk about a few initiatives that you found quite meaningful, maybe very engaging and impactful, which focuses on women's leadership development, their hiring in the organizations, etc.?
Yeah, so before I get into the space of initiatives, I think I want to take a cue from what His Grace said when he spoke about even leaders of the church are having the mindset change and talking about. To us, even at the corporates, mindset is so important. If leaders start advocating the change, and the values that they want to
bring in,
imbibe around this, there's going to be a behavioral change.
Well
and
said.
To me, at the corporates, it starts with the leaders advocating this. And it's like you rightly said, it's not a tick box activity for the HR department to do. No way. It'll never work. And this has to be a genuine effort. So a lot of, if I have to look at, and I put them in certain buckets of initiatives, right from attracting talent, our ability to attract women to the workforce, to the organization, our hiring processes. Once we hire them, how are we able to retain them? So the infrastructure that we provide for them, the support, the respect at the workplace, the care that we are able to give them. So all our practices around that. And once we've been able to put that in place, do we have a great mechanism to also provide them growth opportunities, career advancement, without any impartiality and bias?
Yes.
So if I have to just cite a few examples from a hiring perspective and what's the world move today. Interestingly, resumes, when they're forwarded to the hiring manager, they're masking the gender. So you're looking at that resume without any bias. You're looking at the merit the person brings on board based on their experience or their professional background. And then you would actually shortlist the resume. So there's work being done in that space, and I'm sure you're aware of.
I think technology also plays a big role in masking and blinding CVs.
For example, I think you also take into consideration certain workers or certain staff who have to be promoted, that a little of how is their attitude towards men, towards the companions who are working together, or perhaps even to the superior. I've seen that in many corporate concerns, they consider it as one of the main things. If you can't respect a woman, you can't respect anybody.
No, absolutely. There is zero tolerance in case there is disrespect being, or there is some bias that's coming in. Absolutely, that's true.
Attitude plays such an important factor.
So in terms of hiring, of course, there's a lot that's being done. Post-pandemic, women have had a flexibility to work. A lot of women have been called back saying, okay, this is your opportunity to come back. Because of work from home, now women have an opportunity, and not women, even men have an opportunity.
Men also have an opportunity.
But I think the women have been able to utilize this opportunity that pandemic has provided in terms of flexibility. The respect element of care that's being provided by organizations for the infrastructure. So if I have to cite an example as simple as we work with a lot of organizations, and you have factory workers also, where men and women are there. But you also have to be sensitive to the need of women, though they might be a smaller percentage. So whether it's the facilities you provide them in, simple, basic ones like washroom, creche, or any nursing stations and so on, all that makes an impact. And organizations are now looking at those areas of infrastructure too.
When we talk about flexible working for women, I think it's also important that men also take care of the domestic work, because working women have to manage the home work as well as the office work. So that's an important skill that has to be inculcated in boys and men. Yeah.
True. They definitely play a dual role, no doubt about it.
Of course, you have to admit, Priya, that women are multitasks, whereas we are not that multitasking.
That's no excuse no longer.
No, I'm saying, yeah, true. I mean,
But
it becomes natural for you. Whereas for us, it's very difficult to adapt ourselves to certain things. Once again, the mindset.
Yeah, it's a mindset. That's right. I agree on that second part of it.